the wind. Okay, I'm going to do this, and you'll let me if it know if it causes a problem for you. Everybody still good with audio? Okay. You all ready? Okay, so thank you. We are here once again to talk about Social Security. So we've seen Elon Musk and this administration put their sights on Social Security, and we know that the Saginaw Social Security office is on a list of potential closures. This process has been messy. It's created confusion for our entire country. I have written a letter to the administration demanding answers and have not gotten a satisfactory response. So this morning I sent another letter demanding information about the closure of this office and to make sure people know, and we're here today to make sure the administration knows that we will not go away quietly. This office is incredibly important to this community. It's a part of their program to cut programs that are critically important to people in our district. Social Security, Medicare, SNAP benefits, Medicaid. These are all proposed cuts to give tax breaks to the ultra wealthy. So doing this right now is especially ridiculous when we have seen a jump in the average wait time in our Social Security offices around the country double. We also have seen the administration ending our constituents' rights to paper checks. And to make matters worse, they are withholding 100% of our Social Security recipients' dollars if there is an overpayment that is of no fault of their own. So listen, I remember when I got my first job at 14. When I was 16, I was working at McDonald's. When I was 14, I was doing work. And I brought home my first paycheck, and I said to my parents, who is FICA and why is he taking all of my money, right? But that was the payments that I started making as a teenager in my first jobs that people behind me have been making since they started to work. Social Security is not a benefit. Social Security is a program that people have paid into with the promise of receiving those dollars in a way that is easy for them for their very first day of work, and we simply must protect it. Every week, my office, both in the district, here in our community and in DC, receive hundreds of calls from constituents who need help accessing their Social Security benefits. If there's a problem, we refer them right here to our Social Security office. So listen, I am 100% there for cutting red tape. We all know that the government can do things more efficiently. But we don't accomplish that by taking a chainsaw to the federal budget, eliminating things without consideration or public input, including offices like the ones behind me that are so important for our residents as they strive to get the benefits that they have so deserved. So the last thing that I want to point out is we have seen people from the administration, including officials like Secretary Lutnick, say that the people that are worried about this are only fraudsters. And only people who are cheating the system are complaining about the lack of access. With all due respect, Secretary Lutnick is a billionaire. The Social Security check is not make or break for him on whether or not he can pay his mortgage. What we know is that the Social Security Administration misses a round of checks. Seniors in our community will not be able to buy food. They will not be able to have housing. They will not be able to have basic needs met. We must protect Social Security. And to really talk about what that impact might be and what that looks like, I have with me a Social Security recipient, Tom Brubaker. Got it?
Good afternoon.
You should be able to just stand up.
Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Tom Brubaker, and I am a proud resident of Saginaw Township. I worked for 40 years, and actually most of my 40-year career was spent working in buildings just steps away from here in health and human services. I worked for nonprofit organizations because I wanted to help people in need. That's what was most important to me. I didn't make a big salary. It wasn't a big salary career, but that's not why I did it. But since 1985, Every week I have paid into Social Security. I never thought about it. The years went by so quickly, but 18 months ago, on November 4th, 2023, I suffered a stroke which resulted in me being blind. It's been a very difficult 18 months, and when you're suddenly faced with blindness at the age of 60, everything's turned upside down. But there was one thing that I knew I had, and that was Social Security. I didn't have a large retirement nest, but I knew that Social Security disability was there for people like me and for the elderly, the people who are most in need in our community. And so it has been very troubling for me. The last 18 months, applying for disability, like when you access any service, is a lot of work. It's a lot of paperwork. It's a lot of accessing doctors and getting support letters and documentation. Now, for me, I had a family member help me with that. But I want to tell you, last year when I was going applying, the one thing I kept saying to my family was, there's an office downtown Saginaw. I knew that office was there for people like me. Because one thing I learned in my years of health and human service work is when it comes to barriers to service, transportation is number one. If you're low income or you're disabled or elderly, transportation can be your biggest barrier. But the other one is technology. While I appreciate all the technologies, I didn't prepare to become blind. And so there's so much technology, and what they want to do to close this office, are you kidding me? This is going to devastate our community, and it's going to hurt people like me, because if I run into a problem, I know there's people right here at Social Security who will meet with me. It's so easy to get in and out of that building. And so I say to Trump, Musk, keep your chainsaw away from Social Security and quit hurting the people most in need in our community, because we depend on it. I earned that. I worked since the age of 14, $1 an hour working for my dad, who was a builder. And at 21, 22, as I was out there with that check. So I just want you to know that I'm going to keep fighting. But most of all, I want to thank Congressman Kristen McDonald-Rivet, because she has been a fierce advocate and a fierce fighter for our community. So thank you so much.
Sir, how do you spell your last name?
Brubaker.
And is Tom common spelling? T-O-M?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I'm 61. Someone's got my balance, right?
Yep.
It's easy to lose it.
Got it?
Thank you.
So I want to thank Tom for doing that. Listen, these are not, excuse me. These are not numbers on a balance sheet. These are faces of our neighbors, of our parents, of people across our community that rely on the services that this office provides. We have people with disabilities who are being told, log on to a computer. Well, you can see that for Tom, that's not possible. During the campaign, we heard over and over from this administration, we will not cut Social Security. And here we are, less than 2 months in, and the attacks on Social Security have already started. And I will tell you this, I will fight with every last breath to make sure that people like Tom and seniors across our community can have access to Social Security, which is a critical service for them. I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay. I know the letter that you sent that was referenced in the press release was dated March 17th. Reached out to the Trump administration released a press release on March 27th saying there were no plans to close this office. Obviously, today is April 22nd. Have you heard anything since March 27th? And you've mentioned that their response was unsatisfactory.
Unsatisfactory.
What was their response?
Their response was a generic reply. We want to know what the process is for determining which offices are closed, why we're closing any to begin with. We want to understand what their plans are that will make benefits very hard for people in our community to access. And we want them to say definitively that this office is off limits. I sent a letter this morning demanding those specific answers.
What would it take to keep this building open?
You know, we know what it will take because the funding is already there. When we are trying to figure out how to balance the budget so we can give tax cuts to multimillionaires and billionaires, we have a problem. There are already resources that will keep this building open and keep the staff here available for folks that need to be able to talk about their Social Security benefits. What keeps it open is not cutting it.
As a follow-up on my question, with the March 27th press release that the Trump administration sent out saying this is false, what leads you to believe that they're either lying or incorrect as far as closing this building?
So we have seen over and over again from the Trump administration where something will be said and then it's overturned and then it's said and it's overturned. And what I did not see in that press release is a guarantee that the office will be kept open permanently.
The Democratic Party has a majority vote in the Senate and House. If funding for this or other programs are cut, what options does the party have to respond?
Well, I think it's important to understand that we have very close margins in the House. So what's important right now, we need 3 Republicans to step up and say and push back against the president and say, I will not cut Social Security. If that happens, then we can stop things like this office closing and stop the cuts and benefits that will happen with our seniors.
Are you able to answer a question off topic?
Well, it depends on what that question is.
All right. Well, I'll throw it out here for you.
Okay.
I should be able to answer it, hopefully. Your former seat at the state level is still unfilled. Obviously, there's a lot of people calling for a special election. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I know that it's people are concerned about the seat being open. It is 100% in the governor's authority to call the election when she thinks it's the right time. It is not unheard of. This isn't without precedent that there are times when a length of time when the election isn't called, but that's the governor's decision.
Is there any chance those people behind you can stay there for a little bit longer? So
Yeah, you guys good to stand here for a sec? Okay.
Thank you.
All right.